At this time, I call the regular meeting of February the 11th, the County Commission to order. We have with us tonight the pastor of the Lincoln United Methodist Church. If you're looking for a church home, it's just right down here on the corner, across the street from the funeral home. We have with us Reverend Randy Knapp. Preacher, if you'd come to the podium and give us our invocation. Commissioner Tankersley, you will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance following the invocation.
May we pray. Gracious God, loving Heavenly Father, we give you thanks that we gather in freedom this night to conduct the business of the county in which we live. Grant your grace and wisdom and mercy upon our leaders. Grant them your wisdom so that as they deliberate the needs before us, they might decide what is good and best for all concerned who call Lincoln County home. Grant them safety in their travels and grant us all safety from this virus as we continue to live out the lives that you've given us here in this wonderful area where you've called us to grow. We ask this in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you again, Reverend Knapp.
Thank you.
Item 4 on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the previous meeting. I trust you've looked at them. Is there a motion that we approve the minutes as printed?
So moved.
A motion, a second.
A second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Tankersley, second by Commissioner Collins. Any discussion on the motion? Chair hears none. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. The motion is carried. Madam Clerk, on item 5 is the approval of the agenda. Without objection, I would like to add, on behalf of Director Broom, the hazard mitigation fee. There he is back there. We just adding that to it, if you would. We would place that at item number 14, and then we would change the numbers going down. That will become item number 14 under Director Broom's part. Is there objection to that? Chair is none. Is so ordered that the agenda will be. Is there a motion that the agenda be approved as printed?
I so move, Mr. Chairman.
Is there a second?
I second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Clyde, second by Commissioner Henderson. Any discussion on the motion? Chair hears none. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. The motion is carried. I'd like to make one comment before we begin and let you know that February the 20th is just next week, I think, next Sunday, maybe Saturday. But February the 20th, 2021 will be the 225th anniversary of Lincoln County. We were founded on February the 20th, 1796. And that was brought to my attention by the county attorney a few days ago, so I wanted to let everyone know that we'll be celebrating the 225th anniversary. With that said, we'll begin with the order of the departmental reports. 6A will be the Office of Emergency Services, Director Broom.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, as always, it's a pleasure to be here. You have my written report. We're doing better this time in terms of COVID numbers. I always update that because it changes from Monday, when I have to submit my report till the night of the meeting with 464 cases. That's one of the lowest increases we've seen in weeks. Additionally, the 2-week total is down to 28. Just the last time I talked to you, it was in the high 60s. of new cases in the last 14 days. So I believe, according to the DPH, we're on the bottom side of the bell curve. That's all I have, unless, the ACCG firefighter cancer grant program, I had it marked as awaiting reimbursement. We did receive that reimbursement this week.
Okay, any of the questions to Director Broomy? There being none, thank you. 6B, be the Recreation Department, Director Glaze. Welcome back.
Good evening, how are you? Happy New Year's,
I
everyone.
understand you had a little virus over the last few weeks.
I did. Commissioners, Chairman, you have my notes in front of you. And I do need to add that middle school has come onto the yard for baseball, they practice, and they have their games there.
Okay. And I see that, of course, basketball was canceled due
Yes,
to
sir.
COVID.
After I had the little virus, I didn't want nobody feeling, unsafe being inside, so.
Okay. Any questions, Director Glaze? You have his
Glaze.
report, Commissioner, who is this? Commissioner Collins?
And okay. Never mind, Commissioner or Chairman, thank you. He texted me the information I need.
Well, that was quick. Any other discussion? Questions, Director Glaze? That being done, we'll move to 6C, the Finance Department. This is usually the long one now. Used to be the shortest one, but Director Dawes.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, you have my printed reports, and the only thing I'd like to add is we're working with our auditor, so we are hoping to wrap up our FY20 audit. It's been running a little bit longer, mainly because of COVID. They've had some issues in their office and they've had to slow down, and then, of course, the whole tax year shifting, so that we're hoping to have that wrapped up in the next 3 or 4 weeks and get our audit submitted. The good news is all of our financial reporting that we've had to do has all been shifted back to the end of the first quarter, so we're still on target to meet all of our deadlines.
Okay, you heard the Finance Department Director Dawes. Any questions to him? That being none, thank you. It's always good when you hadn't got a question, everything must have been good. 6D, Public Works Department, Director Seymour.
Commissioner, Chairman, Commissioners, you have my written reports. Don't have anything to add to those unless you have questions. I'll be more than happy to do that. At this time, I do want to give you a brief update, I think, from the last time that we met. I know we talked about it a little bit in the work session, but for the general public, the pipe replacement on Gillabo Road was done and successful on the 28th. And we had that road back open, I think, about 11:30 that morning. So it didn't take as long as we had thought it would take. Seems to be holding up well. But just wanted to throw that out there to you, to remind you that that was done and was successful in doing so.
Commissioner Clyde.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Seymour, I was going to ask you, I know we have a bad litter problem in the county, and when the citizens brought a road to my attention, it's really bad. But I know we also can't hire enough employees to pick up the trash that people disrespect, they can carry with and throw aside the road. Do we have any hopes of not inventing, but bringing back the community services?
Yes, sir. Me and the chairman have actually had that conversation a couple of times, and I think that the chairman has actually talked to someone here recently about revitalizing that program. What happened is the gentleman that was handling that on the weekends was no longer able to do it. And so we have talked to someone that is available to do it, and it's going to take a little time to get it resurrected. But that's something that we're certainly moving toward, to try to get those people that get community service that are to get out on Saturdays and start picking trash up on the side of the road, yes. But we're having problems in some areas with that, yeah.
Thanks, sir.
Commissioners, you know that goes through the magistrate court. Judge Moss will be the ones that will be sentencing. I guess Superior Court probably could too, but Judge Moss will be sentencing the ones from magistrate probate court to to the community services.
Right.
We're gonna get with him and get it started. As Director Seymour said, we have someone that has agreed to work on Saturdays and be with them, but it will probably be a couple of months for the court to get enough people to make it feasible for us to pay somebody to supervise them. They can't go out without supervising. So I know that's one of your big points, and you've been talking about it for
Yes, sir.
several weeks, and you're right, we have some areas that the trash is bad, and we need to try to get that program back up and going. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir, it does. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Director Seymour. Any questions to him? Thank you. No use in you going far, is it?
No, sir.
The next item on the agenda is item 7. But let me do mention though, under tab E is the University of Georgia Extension. I see that Ms. Stewart is here. That's her report that she has under C that she's been providing to us, and thank you for that. Item 7 on the agenda is the planning and zoning part for a special use request. At this time, we go into a public hearing. I know that you thought I had forgotten that, but we go into a public hearing, and I need a motion to go into the public hearing.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Henderson, second by Commissioner Clyde. Any discussion on the motion? Chair hears none. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion is carried, and we in a public hearing. Director Seymour.
Yes, sir, Chairman. On February the 8th, 2021, the Planning Commission heard the following request. The applicant is from Ms. Shane Stewart, who represents WIT LLC, map and parcel 12A, parcel 32, 34, 37, on Lakeshore Estates Drive, consisting of 53.40 acres. Currently is on R2, and the special use is applied for a special use to operate a glamping retreat. And I think we've discussed this in length in our work session. I think you also have all the documentation in your book showing the layout Ms. Stewart has proposed. And so the recommendation from the Planning Commission was approval, 4-1, with the following conditions. That she have an approved water system from EPD, approved septic system from the County Health Department, the buffer requirements are met, permit to begin construction to be obtained within a year, and that all phases of construction to come before the Planning Commission for approval. So this is going to be a 4-stage or 4-phase project. And so after each phase, before she goes to the next phase, because the preliminary layout of the master plan could change, she'll have to come back before Planning Commission for approval before she goes to the next phase.
Okay, let me make a comment before we ask for those to speak to us over it. Director Seymour, is it not true that when we are asking for a special use request, that is just for that use that's specified? If it doesn't take place, or if 2 years from now it goes out, it will revert back to R2, and then that would, if anything else is done other than what fits in R2, it would have to come back before the Planning Commission, the Board of Commissioners for approval.
That is correct. Unlike a rezoning where you're going from an A to a C, once you rezone it A to C, then that C would remain, and something else could move in that fell in C. With a special use, if this project gets off the ground and it operates for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, and then does it after that, it would revert right back. Yes, sir.
Again, is it not true that when you doing something as this request is asking the county to do due diligence from the property owner or the person or company that's doing this, that they would have to get an approval before they can continue on to do some of the things that has to be done to see if it's feasible even for them to do that.
Yes, sir, that is correct.
So if we accept the recommendation of the planning commission and it moves forward, and 3 months down the road or 4 months down the road, the applicant decides that it's not feasible and they are no longer going to do that, then it would stop, things would stay like they are, revert back to R2, and nothing else could be done without coming back through the same process. Is
Yes,
that
sir.
right?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
So I guess I can ask them when they come, but I guess what they want to do now is, this is the first thing that they need to do to start the process of finding out if they can make the project work. Is that right?
That is correct. One thing that's a little confusing too, I want to clear up. There's actually 2 special uses that are before you tonight, and the reason for that is that the first special use is for the 53 acres that is in the inside of the circle between 79 and Fishing Creek Estates Road, I believe it is. And the other is, she's also buying a .92 acre parcel that's on the lake side of that dirt road. So we're doing 2 special uses because they are split parcels, they're different parcels. That way there's a special use on both parcels because she's going to combine them.
Okay, we will ask, is Ms. Stewart here?
She is, Miss Shane Stewart's here right here. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Ms. Stewart, if you would, you could come to the podium, and when you do, if you would, state your name and address for the record. And then you can tell us briefly, you don't have to go, I think we all know what's in it, but you can give us a little talk of what you planning to do and why you wanting to do this.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Shane Stewart, SHAYNE-STUART. I am the owner of WIT LLC. I am planning on doing glamping in, as you have, I guess you all have copies of my presentation before you. Okay. A few things that I wanted to add that was not in my presentation that came up at the previous meeting was some of the concerns of the neighbors. One of the concerns was traffic on Lakeshore Estate Drive. So I did address that. We are opening phase 1 on the 1 acre, the lake side of the property. We will only have 4 sites on that property, which means no more than 10 people. We are marketing to couples. So maybe 4, maybe 5 vehicles a weekend at most on that road. And that's in phase 1. In phase 2, we're going to move across the street to the 52 acres. And there the first thing we're going to do is put in a pond and a road infrastructure. So any additional development following that traffic-wise will be contained to the 52 acres. I think that was most of the concerns that the neighbors had. Also, there is a proposal for a firing range. The firing range, it is going to be indoors, so there is going to be no noise pollution within the immediate area coming from the development. That being said, I know a lot of people ask, the first thing they ask is what is glamping? And in a nutshell, I can say glamping is fancy camping. Basically out in the camp, in the woods, but it is a 5-star luxury accommodations. And that's it in a nutshell. Does anyone have any questions for me?
Ms. Stewart, when I was in the Boy Scouts, we didn't have any tents that looked like this.
No, I don't think you would have.
I know it says in here this began probably around 2005 in the UK. I had never heard of it. When I first saw it a month or so back, I asked Director Seymour, what in the world is glamping? I'd never even heard of it. So I did learn a new word and what it stands for. Is there any questions to Ms. Stewart from the commissioners?
I'll go with Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Clyde?
Ms. Stewart, thank you for looking at Lincoln County with this, and it looks good. The one person that was against it on planning and zoning, is those concerns you mentioned that you're addressing, is that the reason they voted against you on it?
Oh, they did not.
They did not? Okay. I
No,
thought it said 4 to
it
1. I
passed.
apologize.
It was 4-1, yes, sir. There was one, that voted against it. His reasoning was that he just didn't think that place that he would be.
Gotcha. Location was his
Yeah.
issue. Gotcha.
I'm
Thank
sorry,
you.
I misunderstood your
No,
question.
that's okay. Thank you.
Anybody else? Commissioner Henderson, will you say?
I'm thinking, I don't know how to ask, but what's on my mind, so I'm going to just
Okay.
listen to the rest of it.
Huh?
I'm just going to
Okay.
listen.
Thank you, Ms. Stewart.
Thank you.
Chairman Long,
Commissioner Tankson,
may I ask a question, please?
proceed.
What is your target market?
My target market is couples right now.
From where? What location? What do you hope to pull from?
I am pulling from Atlanta, from the 2 hours within commuting distance from Lincoln to.
Have
So
you
that
done a
puts in,
feasibility study on this?
yes, I have.
So favorable,
Yes, oh, very, very much so, yes.
Any other questions? Thank you, Ms. Stewart. Commissioner Henderson.
When you get this into full, I guess, phase 4, how
Yes.
many people, what would be the traffic flow?
I'm estimating an average of 100 people per weekend.
Okay,
How many?
100 people per weekend.
one more question.
Yes, sir.
At full tilt, say everything just goes flying colors, what is gonna be the employment numbers as far as people running this? What are you projecting?
51 employees, valued at approximately $770,000 a year.
Any other questions? Thank you, Ms. Stewart. You can sit on that front row if you want to, in case we need you back. All right, is anybody here wanting to speak in favor of the special use for this piece of property? Anyone speaking in favor of it? If not, is there anyone here that would like to speak against it? If you would, come to the podium, state your name and your address, please.
How are y'all? My name's Mike Zahner. I live at 1379 Lakeshore Estates. My property is the adjacent lot to the little less than 1 acre lot that's in phase 1. In the meeting the other night, one of the comments were that phase 1 was going to finance phase 2 to 3 to 4, if I understand properly. If phase 1 doesn't make it, and the finances are not there for phase 2, 3, and 4, will that 1 acre property still be able to have the campsites? Or will it go back to the regular?
I don't know how to answer that. Director Seymour, if you come back to the podium, because you got to get it on.
Yes, sir. So if phase 1 fails, and there's campsites on it, then the owner of the property would be required to remove those campsites and bring it back to its original state, because at that point, she would have lost the special use, and then the camping portion would not be covered under our ordinance.
Okay.
So just so I understand, by 2024, if all phases are not completed, it would revert back?
Unless it comes back to the commission, for a time extension or something. I mean, we don't put a time extension on each phase. I know she had, but the special use doesn't really have.
Director Seymour, if you would, I need you to come back up here. It's probably not picking you up back there.
I'm sorry. So his question was, if by 2024, all 4 phases weren't developed, with the special use goes away. Well, there is no time limit on the special use other than obtaining a permit. So if she was in phase one for 2 years instead of 1 year, and then went to phase two, she would still be in compliance with the county. So there is not a time limit on how she's going to finish each phase.
So, I don't mean to talk about Sharon. Phase one could stay in indefinitely if phase 2, 3, and 4 never start, is what I'm asking.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else that would like to speak against? If not, we have a recommendation from the Planning Commission to take this R2 zoning district, medium density, and transfer it over, I guess, to special use. And in doing that, we're looking at map 12A, parcel 32 through 34, 37, 53.4 acres. Mr. Jackson, if we can do both of them in one motion.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
The second one would be map 12A, parcel 008 on Lake Shore Drive Estate of .92 acres, that we're changing that to a special use. Is there a motion that we accept the recommendation of the Planning Commission?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept this.
Have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Collins, second by Commissioner Clyde. Any discussion on the motion? Chair hears none. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. And the motion is carried. Thank you, Ms. Stewart. Good luck, and we just hope you get it all going and put people to work. I guess this is a hotel motel tax too, wouldn't it be?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there a motion that we come out of our public hearing?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
That's second.
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Collins, second by Commissioner Henderson. Any discussion on the motion? Chair is done. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion is carried, and we are now out of our executive session. We're back to the regular commission meeting. Item 8, you see, simply says, Ms. Shirley Dawkins. I asked Ms. Dawkins if she would come. She was, I think, a 26-year employee. Is that correct? Of the county and the state. She had a dual position. She's on the county retirement and the state teacher's retirement, I guess. So hopefully she's got it going. Ms. Dawkins, we wanted to ask you to come, and on behalf of the commissioners and the citizens of Lincoln County, we want to show our recognition and appreciation for your 26 years of dedicated service and your leadership to the Lincoln County Library from June the 12th, 1995 to January the 31st, 2021. That's a long time to be a department head. I don't know if we've got one that's been there that long. We'd like to present you this plaque, if you would come forward. We got a lot of ladybugs in here. You know, another good thing about Shirley Dawkins, before she got the dog, she was normal. Like you did this job. Here. Welcome to go to that podium and dress up if you want. Look at that, this is yours too, with only these bags here.
I just want to say how much I appreciate all the support you have always given. Stan, I didn't get your support too long, but I know it would have been there.
You know.
And Mr. Clyde,
Yes, ma'am.
Chairman Clyde, and Mr. Henderson, I know that, but I know I had Larry Collins' support, so, because we made sure he got all the new books, so. But thank you again, it was a privilege, and I just hope everyone could have the joy that I had doing my job. So, thank you again.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ms. Dawkins, did I understand you to say he always got the new books?
Yes.
Was that partiality because he's the District 2 County Commissioner?
No, because he knew which books were coming out.
Let's give her a round of applause. Okay, item number 9, I think we can put it in high gear now. Number 9 is the Lincoln County Pause Contract for Renewal. Clerk McKellar.
Yes, sir. We have received a letter from LC Pause asking us to renew the contract for another year. This is for their services to the county and animal control. This will give them $8,000 annually. Again, what this year, which is $2,000 quarterly.
Okay, we heard this. We do this each and every year. They provide a service and we contract for them to help handle our animals across the county. They've done a superb job. I understand they're even still working, trying to get a shelter. They meet all the requirements, 501c3. Is there a motion that we approve the contract with them and pay them the $8,000, $2,000 per quarter? Is there a motion?
I so move, Mr. Chairman.
Have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Clyde, second by Commissioner Collins. Any discussion on the motion? Chair hears none. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign, motion is carried. Item number 10, timber ordinance, second reading, Director Seymour.
Chairman, members of the board, this is an item that was on last month's agenda. Last month, we had the first reading of the new timber ordinance. This is a new state law, and we're required to change our county ordinance to reflect the new provisions in the state law. So I'll bring it to you again tonight for the second reading. It has been posted on the website all month long in the public notices, and I can just tell you, I haven't gotten the first phone call about it. So, Mr. Chairman, with that being said, I'll turn it back over to you.
I'll turn it over to the county attorney for the reading.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Whereas timber harvesting operations occur in the unincorporated portions of Lincoln County on a recurring basis, and whereas timber harvesting is an important component of the local economy in Lincoln County, providing revenue to landowners, business opportunities, and jobs for local residents, it is the intent of the Board of Commissioners of Lincoln County, Georgia, to facilitate this industry while at the same time protecting county infrastructure and the safety of the community. And whereas timber harvesting in many instances requires the use of county-maintained roads in order to transport the product to market. And
Mr. Jackson.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
I know this has been on the website for the public review. We started at the January meeting. If there's no objection, I'd like to ask the suspension of the second reading of it. It will take you about 30 minutes, I guess, to read it all.
Yes.
If there's no objection from the members, I hear none, then we will accept this as the second reading. Is there a motion that we approve the new timber ordinance? It is a state ordinance that's being required for us to do. Actually, we have no choice but to do this if you get right down to it. Is there a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Is there a second?
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Henderson, second by Commissioner Collins. Any discussion on the motion? Chair hears none. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion is carried. Item number 11 is the electric audit. Director Seymour.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. This is something we talked about also in our work session. A company by the name of Utility Management Services, Inc. Does utility audits, particularly power audits, for municipalities all over the state, not only in Georgia but in other states as well. We were actually sent some information, I believe it was by Ms. Martha Jo Ashmore, or she's not Ashmore anymore, at City Hall where they had gone through this same audit. And she had sent some information to Director Doss, and me and Director Doss talked about it. But basically what this is that this company has an algorithm program that they plug in all of our electric bills into, and it spits out what codes we should be under commercial codes. So Georgia Power has a book, the way it's explained to me, about 2 inches thick of commercial codes, and depending on what code each building is in, is how they charge you for utilities in that building. And so they were able to save the city of Lincoln about $4,000 a year on their audit. And the way this works is if there's no savings to the county, then this company doesn't charge us a dime. However, if there's a savings, let's say it's $4,000, then they would get $2,000 and the county would still save $2,000. So either way, we will either break even and not get any money back year or savings at the end of the year, or we would split it 50-50 and we would get some savings back. And what this basically does is gives us the authorization to turn our utility documents over to them through our power company so they could start that audit.
Do we have anything to vote on this, or is this just, are they voting to give us approval to turn this over?
Yes, sir. Voting to give you approval to sign these user disclosures for the power companies, yes, sir.
You heard the request from Director Seymour. Is our motion giving me the authority to sign it, releasing these papers to do the electric audit at no cost to the county, hopefully a savings?
Chairman Norman, I make that motion that we do that.
Is there a second?
I second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Tankersley, second by Commissioner Cloud. Any discussion on the motion?
Chairman Norman,
Commissioner Tankersley.
is it a time period where they would be accepting the 50%?
It would be 3 years.
I thought
Yes, sir.
that's what I remembered in the
Yes,
work
sir.
session.
It would be 3 years.
Anyone else?
They can't check
Commissioner
off.
Henderson.
Oh, excuse me, sorry.
Do they reevaluate every year, or is it just for 3 years?
They do not. They would, at the end of 3 years, we would have an option to renew or to go back and have another audit done at that point in time. Yes, sir.
Commissioner Clyde.
They don't do homes, I don't guess, do they?
No, sir, it's basically for businesses, yeah,
Gotcha.
commercial businesses, yeah.
Thank you.
They don't do telephone bills either, I ask. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign, motion is carried. Item number 12 is procurement policy, Director Seymour.
Yes, sir, Chairman. You have a resolution in your book tonight, and this is a resolution for the adoption of the Georgia Department of Transportation procurement policy for the management and administration of engineering and design-related consultant services. And let me explain a little bit. Lincoln County applied last year for a $1.8 million TAP grant through the Georgia Department of Transportation for a transportation enhancement safety program, which, as we've talked about in previous meetings, is actually sidewalks from Clyde's Crossing down about 1.1 miles south through the Blackjack community on both sides of the road. That program is funded also by federal highway administration dollars. So anytime that you have federal highway dollars in a program, then we have to go through a program through GDOT to be able to be a local administered project. So we would actually administer the project and go through all the steps to make that project work. And in order to do that, we have to either adopt our own procurement policy for design and engineering of the project, or we can adopt GDOT's policy that they already have. It is a much simpler, quicker, easier process to do it through GDOT and adopt their policy. Myself and Director Dawson have both been through the procurement class with GDOT, and it could take sometimes up to 9 to 12 months to get this project, to get it even approved if we wrote our own procurement policy. So I'm asking tonight for y'all to approve that resolution to adopt GDOT's policy. And it would.
We've discussed this at the work session. You have the resolution in your book. I know we all know about it. It's our motion that gives me the authority, the clerk, to sign the resolution for the adoption of the procurement with DOT.
I so move, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Clyde, second by Commissioner Henderson. Any discussion on the motion? Chair is none. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion's carried. Thank you, Director Dawson. Now we're at item 13 with Director Dawson. Director, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, sir. I'm good.
Item 13, tree and landscaping in front of the courthouse. Director Seymour.
Yes, sir. As you know, we've had some discussions about the large oak trees and the 2 Leland cypresses in front of the courthouse. I was asked to get some pricing on the removal and the grinding of those stumps on those trees, and I have done so. We got 4 bids. Mr. Walter Ware's bid came in at $12,500. Mr. Paul Spires came in at $5,930, or that's 50, I think. $5,950.
If you look at this, it's going to be R&T Services.
Yeah.
It's the one that's 12.5, and then name and the company.
Sheebler Tree Services and Removal came in at $6,000, and then Augusta Southern Tree Removal came in at $5,000. So my recommendation would be for us to approve Southern Tree Removal to remove and grind the stumps here at the courthouse if y'all so choose to do so.
Okay, you've heard the 4 bids that we got in. Is there a motion that we accept the low bid and recommendation of the director for $5,000 Augusta Southern Tree Removal, license, bond, and insurance?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
I second, Mr. Chairman.
Woo-wee. Motion by Commissioner Collins, second by Commissioner Clyde. Now we're in discussion. Any discussion? If not, Mr. Jackson.
Yes, sir.
Has Director Seymour talked to you about anything about this? What I would like to, I think we need to add to this is that we get something written up pretty quick too, if we're gonna get started, but I mean, it's not that quick. I think we need to have something that limits our liability. In other words, if a tree falls out there and hits a car, or hits a person, or falls back and tears up in front of the courthouse, then I think they ought to have some kind of bond or insurance or something. And I hope that don't change the price of it. If it does, we might have to bring it back. Commissioner Tanker says it would.
Yeah, he already says he's licensed, bonded, and insured, so I'm satisfied.
Okay.
Chairman Norman, we just request a certificate of insurance from his insurance carrier, naming the county as a party. That should be sufficient.
You have that, Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir.
We will need his insurance, who he's got his insurance with, and check that. Is that what you're saying, Commissioner Tanker?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's good. That suits me. Have a motion and a second with this addition added to it, that we'll do this with his insurance company. All in favor of the motion, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. The motion's carried. Okay, see Director Broom, you're not the only one that happens to sometimes.
I was right there, I forgot that.
Okay, now we will have the addition and the line items will change. Item 14 is now the hazardous mediation, Director Dawson. I meant Director.
Commissioners, we received an invoice associated with the hazard mitigation grant program, which has been ongoing since April of 2018. It's a required federal document that's developed over a period of time. Our contractor to work with us on that was the CSRA Regional Commission. I'm in receipt of an invoice for $18,000, which will be fully reimbursed by GEMA once we pay the bill and submit for reimbursement. And this came to me Tuesday or Wednesday this week is the reason I didn't have it for the work session. The rewrite is completed. It has been sent to FEMA for approval. Therefore, this invoice has arrived. May I ask the Chair to authorize to receive for the chairman or for the commission to receive that money, that reimbursement from GEMA for that cost with CSRA Regional Commission.
So we need a motion, and I think if Mr. Jackson, if it's not right, tell me, but I think the motion would be that we would give us the authority to sign this, and then we would receive $18,000 back from the CSRA, and we getting permission to accept that grant and to write the check. We have to write the check first.
Yes,
And pay them for what they did.
yes.
Then we will receive the reimbursement of that $18,000
Yes, from
back.
the- Yes, sir.
You have that?
I think so, yes, sir.
We got to write them a check, and then they'll pay, then GEMA will pay us for their services.
Okay. All right, is there a motion?
Chairman Norman, I make the motion that we.
Got a motion by Commissioner Tankersley, is there a second?
A second.
Second by Commissioner Henderson, any discussion? Chair hears none, all in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign, the motion's carried, thank you. Item number now that we are going to back, that's gonna change, now we got item 15 is Family Connection. Director Doss, got it right that time.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, as we discussed at this work session, we are the physical agent for Family Connections, and so I'm bringing before you the annual agreement, the physical agent agreement, and I'm asking the board to authorize the chairman to sign the agreement so that we can continue to serve as physical agent for Family Connections.
Okay, you ready to request that we authorize me to sign the agreement to continue to be the physical agent for the Family Connection? Is there a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion, got a second.
I second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Henderson, second by Commissioner Clyde. Any discussion on the motion? Chair hears none. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign, motion's carried. Now we are down to, item 16 is the local option sales tax distribution. Director Doss.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, again, as we discussed at the work session, it is time. We're actually about a year early, which is good. We don't want to forget about it. It is time for the city and the county to agree on the distribution of our local option sales tax. The current distribution is 80% Lincoln County, 20% the city of Lincolnton. The city of Lincolnton took this up at their meeting this month, and they have authorized the mayor to sign this agreement. We have received the signed agreement with the 20% distribution to the city. I'm asking the board to authorize the chairman to also agree to the 80% for the Lincoln County and authorize the chairman to sign this on behalf of the county.
Heard the request from the director. Is there a motion?
I make the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Clyde, second by Commissioner Tankersley. Any discussion on the motion? Commissioner Clyde.
I just had, this is based on population, is that right? That's how they break it down, it's the same thing we had last time?
Yes, sir. It is based on population.
All right, thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign, motion's carried. Item 17 now is Source Well. Director Doss.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, we have joined a national purchasing cooperative back in 2006, and what I'm bringing before the board is a resolution which reaffirms our membership in this national purchasing cooperative as well as an intergovernmental agreement. We have been using this purchasing cooperative to purchase some IT supplies, and there are things we think that we might want to do with it later on this year. So what I could not do is I could not find our original 2006 resolution, so I talked with the county attorney, Attorney Jackson, and he suggested that we get the board to reaffirm our membership through a new resolution. So the resolution before you would just simply just reaffirms our membership in this national purchasing cooperative. It does not cost us anything to be a member of this. The Sourcewell itself is a local government entity in the state of Minnesota. All of our surrounding counties are members of this particular national purchasing cooperative. So the resolution If you adopt it, it would be signed by all the commissioners, and then I'm asking for the board, and Mr. Jackson, I don't know if we need two motions, but the next motion would be to authorize the chairman to sign the intergovernmental agreement and the clerk to notarize, or the clerk to attest.
I would suggest doing two separate motions.
Two separate motions, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, is there a motion that we approve the resolution, which will be signed by all those? Madam Clerk, do you have the resolution prepared to sign while they're here tonight?
Yes.
Okay, is there a motion we sign the resolution to reaffirm the service member participation in the Sourcewell National Purchasing Corporation?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Is there a second?
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Tankersley, second by Commissioner Collins. Any discussion on the motion? Chair hears none. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. The motion is carried. Is there a motion that gives me the authority and the clerk the authority to attest the signature that we sign the agreement?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Is that right? Have a motion by Commissioner Collins, second.
A second, Mr. Chairman.
Second by Commissioner Henderson. Any discussion on the motion? Don't forget to stop by the clerk and let her sign it over here before you leave, where we'll have it and it'll be ready to go and we won't have to call you back. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion's carried. Item number 18 is the condemned funds budget amendments. Director Dawes.
I have to see the clerk for just a second.
Ms. Stewart, thank you, and we wish you a lot of success. If anything we can do for you, get in touch with Director Seymour. Thank you. You have a safe trip.
Mr. Chairman, I'm bringing before the board another resolution. We need to amend our FY20 condemns fund. The fund received an $11,869.20 in late June. And at the time, I did not believe, or we did not believe, that we needed to amend the fund because they were pass-through dollars that went to Superior Court, but our auditors said that we needed to amend it. So the resolution before you, we're amending the FY20 budget, which began on July 1st of 2019 and ended on June 30th of 2020. We're revising the budget by $9,513.96, so that the amended budget has $13,827.20 in revenue and $13,827.20 in expenditures. I'm asking the board to adopt that resolution, and then all commissioners would have to assign the resolution.
Is there a motion that we adopt the resolution as presented by the Finance Director?
I make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Is there a second?
A second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Clyde, second by Commissioner Henderson. Any discussion on the motion? Chair hears none. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. The motion is carried. Thank you, Director Dawes. Item 19, Board of Elections, Attorney Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I believe it was last month, Mr. Chairman, that the board amended the resolution and requested the state legislature to amend the law dealing with the Board of Elections here in Lincoln County. It was sent to the state legislature through our state senator and state representative, and we received a notice from the Deputy Legislative Counsel for the General Assembly in Atlanta, Mr. Stuart Morelli. He had a couple of questions dealing with an amendment. He felt it would be better and cleaner to actually abolish the current Board of Elections, simultaneously create a new Board of Elections, and that is in essence what we are here to do today, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I think we've discussed this several times, and we have a resolution that we will send it to the Legislative Council through Senator Anderson and Representative Leverett. Is there a motion that we approve the resolution and have it signed by me and the clerk?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Jackson, we need two motions. Are we doing a motion to abolish and a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, and I would add one quick thing is that yesterday, well, previously I had emailed the proposed resolutions to Mr. Morelli, and I spoke with Mr. Morelli yesterday, and he said that he liked both of these proposed resolutions today. But yes, sir, we would need two motions.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Collins. Is there a second?
I second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Collins, second by Commissioner Clyde for us all to sign the resolution entitled to create the Lincoln County, Georgia Board of Elections. Stop by the clerk and sign it before you leave if you can. I think she has it prepared. That way we can transmit it to the Atlanta tomorrow. Mr. Jackson?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign, and the motion has carried. Now I need a motion to sign the resolution entitled Resolution to Abolish the Lincoln County Board of Elections. Is there a motion?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
We have a second.
I second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Tankersley, second by Commissioner Henderson. Any discussion on the motion? Chair hears none. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign, and the motion is carried. Okay, moving right along with item number 20 for the board appointments to the Development Authority, Commissioner Henderson.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion that, to reappoint Ms. Courtney Elam Davis to the Development Authority Board.
Got a motion by Commissioner Tankersley to appoint Ms. Courtney Elam Davis to represent District 1 on the Development Authority Board. Say a second.
I second, Mr. Chairman.
Second by Commissioner Collins. Any discussion? Chair is none. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion is carried. The clerk will distribute the letter to them, notifying her of her reappointment. Item B is Planning Commission Board, Commissioner Henderson.
I'm not ready for this one yet.
Okay, we're not ready for that one. Item number C is the CSR Unified Development Authority Board. We're not ready for that one. As we discussed the other day, it's not even functioning right now. So we'll leave that on the table. Last item is a motion to adjourn. Is there a motion to adjourn? Motion by Commissioner Tankersley. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Commissioner Clyde. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion is carried. We stand adjourned.